The performer, Bruce Levine.
But is he a good performer?
Suzanne, you on here?
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Okay. Hey, once again, the recording folder's not working. Can you create a new one? See if that works again. Yeah. Thank you.
How much basketball you want in this? Looks like a lot.
Well, I mean, you can not necessarily a lot. Again, let's just do it, and then we can edit it how we want.
Yeah, no,
but-
I know. We're interviewing a personality that's been there and done it, and that's the emphasis of it. And it's I get it.
Yeah.
What's going on, gang?
What's up, Bruce or Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. You came in right as Bruce was hating, so I just get you too confused.
You guys were chirping. I know you guys were already chirping. I hear it. I hear it.
I get all the hate confused if it's Bruce or Cole. So
please give me a break. I'm sure I show the tea and pizza love, and I get hatred from you. I said you're a tea guy, though, aren't you, Malik?
Yeah, big time.
Do you drink chamomile or not chamomile?
No,
the
green tea.
The turmeric and ginger, just green tea.
Yeah, but I'll throw some ginger in there for sure.
What's the difference though in tea leaves? I guess I don't really know.
I mean, it's taste, the way where they come from. They're all regional based. The benefits of each, like green tea is a huge antioxidant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like that. So,
but are tea leaves? Do they start out as one leaf, and then is it like the drying process is like a coffee bean?
Exactly. They actually start out as a plant, a flower. I tried to make it once, and did not go well.
Huh. So I wonder if like a Earl Grey tea at one point, if it is a green tea leaf, and then they have to they dry it out, or
it becomes something else. Yep. But that's not. But yeah, because there are different families, and Earl Grey is not part of that family. Yeah, you're right.
Because I didn't know. I mean, a regular coffee bean and a dark roast coffee bean is the same thing, except for, and they say like lighter roasts are stronger, which I had.
It's like how it's aged.
Ever feel that way?
Correct. So did you send? I just sent you the questions as well.
Yeah, I got them. Not something to be nice and early.
So I think the one thing we definitely want to, we bring him in. Let's introduce him, give him his Chicago ties off the top, so we establish that. He doesn't want to talk like hardcore baseball, but he can talk about the union stance and like the stance between the players and the owners. So that may be the first thing we get into with him, and then if we want to wean away, or even like I said too, we could ask him maybe about how, Cole, if you wanted to, or even Bruce, why are we seeing a lack of African Americans in baseball? Why are we not seeing growth in that area? When we're seeing actually a steady decline, he could be good on that. And then and then we can segue into other things. We can segue into Last Dance, segue into media coverage, how media is changing in sports, the whole landscape. Obviously we should hit him on that. We can tee him up as well on, just some of the great media personalities that have come out of this city, via Medill. So, and just, also as well, just it being a huge city. So all things we can talk to him about. But you guys can just go back and forth.
I'm going to start out with the Last Dance stuff, just based on him, like how we had everything flowed out. You know what I'm saying? It's like just because I know that's his specialty, and like you said, if he doesn't want to really talk baseball off the top, then we'll just wait, and they'll kind of be surface level baseball questions, clearly.
Great. So for our Memorial Day segment today, our topic is favorite ballpark food.
Gotcha. You have one or no?
Oh, I'm nacho guy all day.
You're nacho. Are you
Yeah.
now? Are you just regular cheese chips and jalapenos, or are you like the helmet nachos with like
No,
all kinds
just
of stuff on it?
cheese and jalapeno.
You got it. It's too messy. Those the ones within the helmet are. It's too much, man. Makes your
I
chips
mean,
soggy.
like the ones at Dodger Stadium, like those things can last you a good 4 innings.
Yeah, they're too much. They're too much.
It's way too much.
Yeah, my wife's a big She likes the nachos. I'm a two super Dodger dogs, bag of peanuts and an adult beverage. It's normally my flow.
Bruce?
Oh, the veggie dog.
Veggie dog. You vegetarian, Bruce?
I might be.
Okay,
He's not a
that would be the only
vegetarian.
excuse for eating a veggie dog in Chicago.
Ballpark food in general is crap, anyways.
See, here it goes. Here we go.
Come on, bringing all the hateration in the dancery.
I mean, it's true though, isn't it? I mean, have you ever said, "Hey, yeah, I can't wait to go and eat"?
Yeah, of course.
Hello, hello. Yeah. Hey, Dusty, how you doing, pal?
Wow, Dusty Baker.
It's Dusty Rhodes.
The
The American dream.
He sent me in today.
It just got here. Springtime here is all about
Elise.
rain, and then all of a sudden it's green and the sun comes out. Yeah, you saw it enough.
Smoky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We learned that in high school science, photosynthesis. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm taping a TV show right now. Over the next 10 minutes. When's a good time? Either you can get back to me or I can get back to you. I just got a question or two for you about coming on and doing my baseball show Saturday morning. Saturday morning. No, I'm
Hey
done. I'm
Malik,
done with
I have that
thing
exact same shirt as
by
Bruce. I should wear it.
where are you? In Cincinnati?
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
California.
I've got
I'm
that
done with
exact
this
same
thing
like
by a half hour,
that polo shirt with
about
the
40
that
minutes.
salmon color with the kind of like a blue horse on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The outlets in Cabazon,
I'm.
man,
Yeah.
Where?
Should I
I don't know where
call
that
you?
is.
I'm not going to use this number for
on the
anything
way to
but you
Palm
and I.
Springs.
So, oh,
Oh,
Those are great. I mean, they had those polo shirts there for
yeah. Yes.
like $28, like down from like
Stay
$79.
stay
It
strong,
was
my
like
man.
$29 there.
Yeah, I'm doing it too. I'm doing 90 minutes a day on
I
that
know you know the
treadmill.
good deal.
Got it.
Oh, you already know. You
Well, I'm
already
not
know.
going. I'm going at 3.5, so I'm not going at
It
a
was raised
real,
on TJ Maxx.
killer pace.
You
But
already know.
well, you're going to be 71 here in about a few weeks, right?
Because you won't spend no money
I'm
on
right
shoes.
there, February. So we gotta
I
stay
mean, I'll
strong.
spend it, but I'd like to
You
find it.
don't mess
I'd
with
like to
us.
find them on sale.
All
And
right.
then instead
Thanks
of
for
getting
calling,
one pair, why not
I'll
get
talk to you in
two?
a little while. All right.
I
Bye
feel
bye.
you.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, did you call me
Bruce has
back?
the loudest ringtone in America.
Nah, man, I'm trying to hang up.
Oh, yeah, you butt dialed. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Bye. All right. Ready when you
Hey,
are.
Bruce,
Is that,
Bruce, can you try and
is that
put those
Dusty
underneath your
Baker?
shirt?
What's that?
Can you try and put those that cord underneath your shirt if possible? If not, no biggie.
Hey Jay, this is Kevin, the director of Marquee. Can you hear me? Test. Jay, can you hear me here? This is Kevin, the director.
Hi, I hear you. Wait for my AirPods to connect.
Yep, I was just going to suggest that. Turn that overhead light off. That'd be great.
It's pretty dark.
Bruce, I had that same shirt. I was saying I should have worn that today.
Yeah.
J.A., how you doing, man? Cole right here.
All right, how you doing?
Hi, Jay.
Doing well. Good to see you, man.
How you doing?
All right, hey Bruce, how are you?
Good to see you. Are you educating online these days?
Yeah, that's all we do. If I can get this out of the way. Get that reflection. I don't know what's better or worse.
Tilt
Now,
up a
J.A.,
touch. There you go.
when we're done with this interview, since you're the director of sports journalism up the street, I'm gonna need a Bob Sawatsky and or John Sawatsky and get a critique
Swarovski
here,
critique.
right? It's
Yeah.
funny how much that carries over those classes, and you realize that
No, it was so
5,
good.
6, 7 years down the road.
Jay, that's good. Can you just tilt down a touch? Just perfect. Let's see that. Right there is fine, and then slide to your right a touch, or reposition your laptop. I just want to center you up in your shot. So you can slide to your right more.
Problems we get that reflection.
So if you want to go there, then can you reposition the laptop? Just bring it more. Yep, there you go. A little bit more the other way, towards pulled down. So I want to show more of the left side of your body. Other way. There you go. Keep going a little bit more, a little bit more. A little bit more, almost there. Right there, perfect. You're centered, and then just tilt up a touch just to give a little bit more headroom, and I should be all set. Perfect. Right there is awesome. Thanks so much. I'll turn it over now.
Bro.
Jay, are you in Evanston right now?
Chicago.
Nice.
Hey, what's up, Jay? It's Malik. How are you?
Malik, how you doing? All right.
I'm good. So our director's just touching up some shots real quick, and then we'll just get going.
Mm-hmm.
So just be Bruce and Cole just going back and forth. Cole will set up the interview. This is airing tomorrow, just so you know, but I'll get you a copy and everything, and I'll regroup with you via text and get you a link. So like I said, the guys we won't dig in on baseball. There may be some peripheral questions about just where things are as we stand. We'll talk Last Dance.
I wouldn't mind going over that ESPN story yesterday, looking at all the challenges that baseball's facing, trying to come back.
Okay.
I see that.
Yep. So we'll dig into all that, and this, like I said, so we'll keep it loose, and then we'll just
Kevin,
have a
can
go.
you bring him full and have him count?
Jay, do you think that UFC has somewhat laid out a blueprint for other sports to follow?
I don't think so, because they had somebody test positive. Like it just shows you how, and also, it was easier to get rid of him and just take a fight off the card. But if somebody tests positive in a team sport, then what? Does that team start forfeiting and quarantine for 2 weeks?
What do you have him at right now?
30.
Which way we need to go?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you give me a slow 5 count real quick? I just want to check your lip sync here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect. Thanks.
Oh, there's a long delay coming back in my ear.
Is it coming from just the director, or is it coming from us too, Jay?
From the director.
Okay.
Yeah, that won't happen during the interview. It's just when all the mics are open.
That's okay.
You're going to get that for now. But that sounds good. Thanks.
Guys.
You want to start in a single, Cole?
Yep. All right, Cole. So just bring him in, and then I'll talk to you two on the chat about who's next or whatever. But just go back and forth, and then
Good call.
don't worry. Just end it generically because we're not. This is for tomorrow. I don't know what the bump's going to be.
You got
so
it.
just end it generically.
No doubt.
All right, here we go, guys. Good energy. Here we go, Cole. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, it's our pleasure here on Cubs 360 to welcome in a gentleman and a scholar. He's the director of sports journalism over at Northwestern University. It's the one and only J.A. Adonde. J.A., thanks so much for taking time out and joining Bruce and I here on Cubs 360.
It's great to make my debut on the Marquee Network.
I'm glad to have you. And, you've been well-traveled over your career. This we know. You started out right out of Northwestern at the Sun-Times. You made the jump to the Washington Post, the LA Times, and ESPN. And with that said, you were prominently featured in The Last Dance, of course, a documentary about the 1998 Bulls. And you covered that team in 93 and 94. So as you reflect, what was it like coming straight out of journalism school and being able to cover the biggest show on earth?
Yeah, a year out of school covering the NBA Finals, and it's Jordan and Barkley, and the personalities, and that's what I remember, and the greatness, the standard of greatness that to me has been unmatched since then. And I've been fortunate to go on to cover 19 more NBA Finals after that one. And the 2013 one between the Spurs and the Heat was particularly memorable. 7-game series, of course, the great Ray Allen shot. And to me, it was reminiscent of the 93 Finals. And I just kept thinking that one was better because it had Michael Jordan. And sometimes it's that simple. The Bulls were better in the 90s than everyone else because they had Michael Jordan. That was the difference. He was the difference.
So as you transferred into your NBA reporting life and all of a sudden Jordan is there and then he's not, what was that team like to cover when Pippen had to be the man? And was he really up to the task of handling that team and taking it to another level? We know he didn't win alone, but what was the burden for Scottie Pippen after Jordan left?
Well, as a young reporter covering that team, it's actually a more interesting story than if Jordan had stayed. I think Bulls winning 3, going for 4 would have been really difficult to come up with something new to say. But the Bulls trying to discover themselves and trying to find a way without Michael Jordan now was a much more interesting story. And we saw how successful they were. And I think that year was a testament to Scottie Pippen, to Jerry Krause and the team that he put together, to Phil Jackson as a coach without Michael Jordan. And that team won 55 games. They take the Knicks to 7 games. Of course, here in Chicago, everybody still remembers the Hugh Hollins call in Game 5 that could have perhaps sent the series in a different direction if the Bulls hang on and win that game in Madison Square Garden. So we learned a lot about all of them in the absence of Michael Jordan. So it made it a more interesting story for that one year, and of course made it more dramatic when Michael came back. As for Scottie, I think he learned the limits and also be careful of what you ask for. And he had been yearning to break free from Michael's shadow and to take care of the team and to be the man on the team. But he saw the pressure that came with that. And, we really saw him strain under it. There was the infamous 1.8-second sit down. There was something they didn't get into The Last Dance as much was all the frustrations that he was showing in the 95 season when that team wasn't living up to even the standards they'd set the year before. Remember, he throws a chair at one point. So that was the strain and the pressure that came with an additional burden that comes with being the man on the team. And I think he realized as he held up that, extended his Air Jordan 10s, I think they were, and made the motion, pointed to the Jordan logo and made the motion to come on back. I think that was his recognition and saying, you know what, being number 2 to the all-time greatest number 1 wasn't such a bad life after all. I'd kind of like to return to those days.
Jay, what was it like? The Bulls, they just won their 3rd championship, and Mike steps away to go play baseball. I mean, how shocking was that from a journalistic perspective?
It was. And even as a news consumer, I tell people that's still the most shocked I've ever been by a newspaper headline, because I was watching that Sox game on mute when he throws out the first pitch, and then they keep showing him in the owner's box. And I'm thinking, why are they showing Michael Jordan? He threw out the first pitch. We get it. Michael Jordan's at the game. And then I turned off the TV early. I didn't watch SportsCenter or anything. And the next day I wake up and I open my door, and there's the newspaper, say it ain't so, Mike, Jordan to announce retirement today. What? Even back then, it was hard to go that long without getting news to you in some way. But it got to me in the morning paper that day. So it was shocking. It was a shock to the entire league. And it was surreal. One of the first assignments I had when I went to the Washington Post was to go down and cover Michael Jordan with the Birmingham Barons. And just to be in a minor league baseball stadium in Hoover, Alabama, outside of Birmingham, and see Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever, in the outfield for the Birmingham Barons AA, was just surreal. And I don't know if we ever would have gotten used to that. Even if he had stayed with it and made his way up to the major leagues, it would have been so weird to see this guy playing baseball.
Jay, you were a basketball insider for 25 years. You covered the Bulls not only for the Tribune, but many other important entities down the line. But when you hear Horace Grant talk about the fact that, hey, that The Last Dance was entertaining, it was fun to watch, but 90% of it wasn't real. What are your thoughts? Do you consider the source, or what were your perception of the documentary itself?
I didn't think it was unreal. It certainly was going to be tilted toward Michael Jordan, and ultimately it was going to be his telling of his story, which is something we really haven't had that much. And I don't mind. In fact, I'm ecstatic that this version exists in which we do get to hear his side. It's not as if every other aspect from every other perspective has not been chronicled. So, if we were to say this is the one and only piece of Michael Jordan coverage that exists, then yes, it would feel incomplete and unfulfilling. But it's just part of a much, 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 much broader mosaic. And in that sense, I think it serves its job very well. I did an informal poll of my Twitter followers and said, what did you think was the most interesting part? And more people, more respondents than anybody else said the Michael Jordan interviews, and which is saying something for a guy who's been interviewed as much as he has been, to get something new, fresh, the candor that he showed, the emotion that he showed after all those times he's been asked all those same questions, to get this type of response from him, I thought spoke well to the filmmakers. And if nothing else, that justified the whole thing. And yes, there's going to be other perspectives that maybe weren't brought up and weren't addressed in this, but this is his rules. He got to tell this side, and everyone else is welcome to tell his side. Obviously, nothing stops Horace Grant from getting his side out there.
I think everyone was tuned in to see that glass of single malt scotch and see where the levels had actually gone as the program progressed each and every time. Absolutely. Now, we were all tuned in to The Last Dance each and every single Sunday, J.A., like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And that really gets us to today, because we've been shut down for nearly 2 months, a little bit over 2 months, actually. So when you look at society today with no live sports, how have things changed, at least from your perspective?
We've seen the value of sports and more the economic value of sports for our industry to start with, not having anything to cover. But if you just think about all the people that work at the stadiums, the restaurants and bars that surround the stadiums, Wrigleyville in particular, as much, if not more, than any other stadium locale in the country. The microeconomy is so driven by those 81 Cubs home games. So, we're seeing, I really feel like it's been a reminder of the economic importance of sports, even more so than the entertainment value of sports.
Jay, when you look at the baseball scene and you see that coming from the 1950s, where African Americans started to come into the sport, eventually dominate the sport when they were in there, and to the level now where we have somewhere around 7% African American participation in Major League Baseball. Where do you think that is going, and is there a solution to getting some of these great young athletes to like the game of baseball and play it?
Well, to tie it back to The Last Dance, that was an underplayed aspect of it. The fact that Michael Jordan's first love was baseball. The all-time greatest basketball player's first love was the sport of baseball. And he told the story at Kobe Bryant's memorial service when Kobe was asking Michael what he was thinking of, what moves he was working on when he was 11 or 12, around the same age as Kobe's daughter. And Michael said, I don't know, I was playing baseball back then. And I thought that was really telling. And, the fact that he would choose it, that if he felt unfulfilled, that he had to at least try baseball professionally in his life or he wouldn't be fulfilled. So that speaks to that era. And I really feel like Michael Jordan was kind of the last of that era, or certainly at the tail end of the era of the prominence of baseball in African-American lives. And it's interesting, the wave that came after him from Allen Iverson and LeBron James even, their second sport or their other sport, or maybe even their first sport that they loved was football. And so by the time you get to kids coming up in the 80s, 90s for sure, it's the choices are football and basketball. And I would certainly say that's the case today. So that's the question baseball has to ask itself, is how can it become cool or interesting or a viable option for people in the African-American community? And, if they could tap into that. And one of the reasons maybe that started on this path is the negative reception that Michael Jordan got, most notably that Sports Illustrated cover, Bag at Michael, in which he was ridiculed for playing baseball, in which it was almost as if he was bringing dishonor on the sport. I don't see what's so bad about having the most famous athlete in the world saying, I want to play your sport. But there was a backlash to that. And you wonder what impact that had. So rather than being celebrated for playing baseball, here's Michael Jordan being ridiculed for playing baseball. And you wonder if there might have been young black kids that might have been considering the sport and, were discouraged by seeing that. Of course, the other thing is the economic aspects, and that's been written about as well, as baseball has become a traveling sport and all the economics that go with that. And finally, I would say the fact that people are shoehorned into specific sports and they don't play multiple sports, and basketball has become a year-round sport for a young age. Football has become a year-round sport for people at a young age. They don't really have the option to play multiple sports, even though it's probably healthier for them, and it certainly benefit baseball because you get more people exposed to the sport, and maybe they would want to go into a sport which provides you with a longer career, a professional league that does not have a salary cap. So there's all types of enticements and advantages to playing baseball that I don't think are being sold and presented to young black kids.
J.A., when you look at some of the African-American stars in Major League Baseball, your Jason Haywards, your Mookie Betts, your Andrew McCutchens, how can Major League Baseball better market some of these guys so young African-American kids want to maybe go out there and play the game of baseball as opposed to basketball or football these days?
Well, part of it is the culture. And, the baseball culture is to say it's not about the team, no showmanship, don't flip your bat, don't stare at a home run after you hit it. All these ways that you can express yourself, for example, in basketball with a flamboyant slam dunk and then maybe the pose afterward. And that appeals to kids. That appeals to certainly the Instagram generation, which is, just used to presenting itself and putting out the image of itself that they want, preening and posing for the camera, for people to consume. And baseball, the culture of it discourages. There's still this ongoing culture war within baseball. And it goes against the prevailing culture. And also, I think it dates back to a time when African Americans weren't a part of baseball. So you're saying these are the unwritten rules of baseball. Well, guess what? They're written at a time when black people weren't allowed to play the sport. And is that the tradition that you really want to carry on at this point? So, there needs to be I think a cultural assessment and saying, okay, are we going to try to, and we've seen baseball try to do it, let the kids play, I think was the slogan and the promotional campaign that we saw. I think more of that, but you can't have the promotional arm of baseball, the marketing arm, saying that on one hand, and then that the last World Series or 2 World Series ago were having another argument about bat flips or carrying the bat long and waiting, to get to first base before you discard the bat. Remember that blew up in the middle of the Nationals-Astros series, and you can't have this argument still playing out if you really want to embrace the changing nature of the sport.
Jay, the fascinating issue that hasn't been discussed much is that baseball owners and players are discussing ways to get back medically and economically. But the coverage of baseball and other sports moving forward after the COVID-19 situation, how do you envision that? We know there's going to be limitations. Do you think there's going to be things that go on during this time with the limitations of the media and access that goes forward and serves as a template for how sports are covered in the future?
Yeah, I'm afraid for what it's going to look like. And, baseball had the widest pregame access. You could be in the clubhouse for hours before the game and really get to know the players and get tidbits. I think back, I was fortunate enough being on the West Coast from 97 on to be around Tony Gwynn and to just get these little mini sermons on hitting and lessons on hitting and the art and science of hitting from Tony Gwynn, who would just hold court, in the visitors' dugout in Dodger Stadium, for example. And you just feel like that's going to be, if it comes back, it will be the very last thing to come back. That type of access for the media. And it informs the reporting. As I learn more about hitting and what Tony Gwynn puts into it, I'm better able to explain and discuss it to the readers and to the audience. And so you'll have a less informed media. You'll have a media that is unable to tell the details and get to know the players and present other sides of the players that the fans might not be able to see just from watching the games. So it does the entirety of the sport a disservice, and it makes the job harder, and I think it makes it more difficult for the consumers as well. Maybe it makes it easier for the players. They can just show up, go to batting practice, and play the game. But people want to tell their stories. And, it's plenty of players, I think, enjoyed the back and forth and the banter with the media and actually helping educate the media about baseball. And that's something that I'm very afraid will be lost, if not for the short term, maybe for the long term, and possibly even permanently.
Jay, before we get you out of here, we know it's a changing landscape in all professional sports, but when it comes to you in the classroom teaching at Northwestern, how have things changed for you?
Well, it's all virtual right now, so I just miss the individual interaction with our students. I miss being able to take them to a baseball game and have them do a report on the field after the game, taking them to other sporting events, practices even, Bears training camp. So I feel bad for the students that they're not able to get these type of experience. They're not able to enjoy some of the benefits that Northwestern has and Medill School has by being in Chicago in proximity to all these great sporting events. They're doing a great job of just fighting through these difficult conditions, and we're trying to present as many experiences as possible virtually by having a great list of guest speakers coming out, prominent speakers, including Mike Greenberg, another Medill alum. But it's challenging, and we're learning a lot as we're teaching. We're learning how to do this. I've never taught virtually before, so we're learning how to present the best possible educational experience for our students online while we can.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get those students out to a baseball game, to training camp sooner rather than later. And in the meantime, J.A., we appreciate the time and keep doing what you do. Thanks so much for taking time out to join Bruce and I today on Cubs 360.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it.
Am I open, Kevin? Yeah,
stuff.
you guys are all clear. Good job, Jay. Thank you. Sorry, just had some.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm doing it with you, Jay.
Good.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hope to see you at Wrigley before too long.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
you bet.
no doubt.
Good job, you guys. That was good.
Okay.
We got plenty to go there. Bruce is gone. All right. So are you just going to hang out?
Who, me? No, I'm going to What time we doing? We got half an hour, right? In 40 minutes.
Yeah, half hour. It wasn't. I thought it was 11:30.
That's
My
cool.
bad. Are you going to change? Because half is
Oh
today.
yeah, that's for today. For today, no doubt. Yep.
All
Like I
right.
said, I should wear the
Cool.
same shirt that Bruce is wearing. Who wore it better?
All right. I will. I'll talk to you here in like 30 minutes.
Would that be a problem if I wore the same shirt as Bruce just because? And almost
Well,
threw a little
I'm going to call
jab
Bruce
at
and
him
make
like,
sure he knows. Well, I'm going to call Bruce and make sure he knows that's for tomorrow. So yeah, you can wear it. Go for it.
oh, okay. I was gonna be like, hey, Bruce, look how much better I look in the same shirt.
Yeah. We should talk about getting him on your podcast. He's good, and
Who,
he can go
Bruce?
deep.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
JA.
Oh, for sure.
We should talk about that. I can
For
make
sure.
that happen. Because
okay.
he was really good. He was really good.
Sound like hey, I can make that happen. I mean,
Yeah, whatever. Here we go. Here you go. Here comes the
I got connections, man. I can make it happen. I know people.
I just gotta ask him. But anyways, all right. I'll talk to you.
What
in
happened? Did you get in touch with Roy Wood? Coming
Yeah,
up
I think
for,
he's
next week or
yeah, it's Thursday. He's going to be on.
next Thursday.
Yeah, he's on.
Nice, good stuff. Okay, I'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, man.